Flames fans, welcome. It's a little somber normally. I'm excited. I'm drinking a little drink out of my Liberty contraption, but that's not the case today. And I am joined, as always, win or lose, with the man who is all things Liberty football, the man who is all things Liberty athletics, John Manson. John, how we living this Monday night?
Well, Richie, we have been co-hosting this show now the better part of 2 seasons. You've asked me that every week, and this is the first time that I'd be lying if I said I was doing wonderful. So I'm not sure how to answer that. It is Monday night. We do have a game in 2 days. I am doing better tonight than I was a few nights ago, and it's tough. I don't think either of us are surprised. I don't think anybody listening or watching is surprised that we lost the game, but that it was Kennesaw State.
Yeah.
I think we're all surprised.
Yeah. As 27.5 point, 28 point favorites, we are not the first team in the history of college football to lose a game like that. We are not the first team in the history of college football to have a large winning streak come to an end. I think we've sat here and we've talked about glaring issues and we get accused of being fanboys quite often, but I think we were pretty realistic. I don't think we expected this, but I think it happened. And there's a couple ways to handle it. And we'll talk about that today. You tell me Caden throws for 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, rushes for 87 yards, passes for 200 yards with only 1 turnover, thinking we win the game 9 times out of 10. But it's college football, and it is not just the most entertaining sport in the world. It's the most unpredictable sport in the world. And for the first time in a few years, we were on the wrong side of that unpredictability.
Yeah, we were, and you mentioned Caden's performance, and he really didn't play bad. He had a solid game. They came out aggressive, with the play calling, which was something we'd kind of called for them to do. I think maybe the first 2 plays from scrimmage that we had on offense were QB runs. So I enjoyed doing that. We had a really good drive to open the game. Looked really good. Maybe one of the best drives we had all season. And we take the early lead 7-0. And that came after we had gotten a stop. So I was sitting there thinking, okay, we're up 7-0, early to mid first quarter. Like, we might go ahead and break out and have this get right game. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And it kind of, went the opposite way. And credit to Kennesaw State. They played really good.
Absolutely.
They played obviously their best game of the season, their best game of, the last 2 years. Maybe their best game in several years
for our program history. And
yeah.
And there was a point that was us. There was a point that we were the Kennesaw State looking to beat a team way better than our expectations. And I'm going to say it is what it is. There's no one person or one thing that I think can blame. It'd be a lot easier if we could stand and point at one specific thing, but you can't right now. I think there's a lot of things at play, and the talent's there. The nucleus is there. We're not that far removed from one of the greatest teams in school history. And as I said earlier, it's the most unpredictable game in the world. Look at Alabama losing to Vanderbilt, Notre Dame losing to a MAC school. I always forget which one this year. We were on the wrong end of it. And it's something we're not totally used to. There's been the Presbyterian game, St. Francis, ULM a couple of years back, but kind of on this magnitude with expectations the way they were this season. I think it just stings a little bit more.
Sure. I mean, we can talk about the negatives from it, right? I mean, obviously
Yeah.
losing, is a negative. Not being able to have a back-to-back undefeated regular season is a negative. The CFP shots are done. That's a negative. And we could talk about that. I'm sure, we've all kind of had a few days to kind of think about
Yeah.
that. But if we can kind of look for a glimmer of hope out there. I mean, the team still does control its own destiny when it
Yeah.
comes to the conference championship. But as we know, they have to play better the
Mhm.
beginning Wednesday night, which we'll get into
Yeah.
more against Jacksonville State. If they're going to have success, and I think losing to Kennesaw State, it's all going to come down to how the team responds to the loss. Losing to
Mhm.
them could be the best thing that's happened to this team this year, or it could be the worst thing, and we just have a downward spiral. Coach Chadwell said that after the game, and I think he's spot on. Is one or two things are going to happen. The team's going to come together and get fired up and play good ball, and they have the potential and the ability to win out. I think we all know that. But they also, depending on how things go, specifically Wednesday night, things could spiral downward, and we might be here in a few weeks, saying, well, I just hope we get bowl
Get a
eligible, and
win. Yeah. Win a game.
I hope that's not the case, but
I don't think it'll be the
I don't
case.
think it will be.
Again, there's enough talent, and then this coaching staff has shown their ability not just last year, but in previous years as well on how to win games. And they say winners win. I firmly believe it. But this is probably rock bottom, right?
I hope so.
I think this is rock bottom. I think we are standing on the rock right now. Like, all right, we made it. But there has to be confidence, and there's people out there that just Liberty fans that love a Liberty loss, like just self-loathing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that like to see Liberty lose.
Yeah,
There's
both
no doubt.
in-house, in the bubble, and out of the
Sure,
bubble.
sure. There's no doubt about that. But a loss is a loss. I'm hoping that with that loss, that one in the loss column, with that, the CFP no longer hanging over the heads. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that the team can play free. We heard from on Friday. We heard from um, Bentley Hanshaw and Jerome Jolly, two of the leaders of the team, and they kind of echoed that. They said they hadn't really been playing with that same fire, that same
Mm.
passion, that same joy. Because if you remember last year, this team was just fun. They
Yeah.
had fun. They were fun to watch. You could see it in the way they played, the way they play for each other and with each other. You could see it in their celebrations and
Mhm.
enjoying each and every week, each and every victory. And it seems like that's been lacking a little bit this year so far. And you kind of heard some of the players talk about that since the loss.
Mhm.
And hopefully, this will allow them to kind of open up and play free and play for the joy of the game and remember why they play.
Exactly. And last year we weren't really having that New Year's Six discussion until around now, mid-October. I think after it's around now with the Western Kentucky win is when we started to go, all right, this is something that can happen. And by that point, they had momentum. There was a lot of momentum, and people were all right. You had that vibe, you had that piece of it. This year, it's just haven't been able to get it rolling. And like you said, college football playoff is dead. Sorry, Jerry, it's dead. And
That's a shout out to Jeremiah Flincham. There was a
yes,
little Twitter
yeah,
debate between he and Long
yeah.
Shots
I was
this weekend.
18,000 feet in the air, however how high airplanes go.
Yeah, and he was we love Jerry,
Love
but
Jerry.
and he's just speaking for some of the things that others are thinking. But yeah, I mean, we need to put that to bed. Honestly, we need to put to bed the Conference USA Championship talk,
Yeah.
because this team needs to worry about Wednesday
Yep.
night.
Yep.
And you and I were talking before we jumped on live. We'll learn a lot about this team here in about 48 hours, how they respond to this
Yep.
loss. And I mean, a loss there, again, we'll get into Jacksonville State more in a few minutes, but a loss there and your conference championship dreams are pretty much done.
Yeah. And John's got the standings up now. We slipped to third place. We've said for a little bit now to probably a 4-team race: Western Kentucky, Jacksonville State, Liberty, Sam Houston, Western Kentucky, and Jacksonville State 3-0. Liberty and Sam Houston 3-1.
Yeah, Western Kentucky got the win over Sam Houston last week to knock them from the ranks of the unbeatens in conference play, and Jax State, they're playing as good, if not better, than anybody in the conference right now. I mean, they're just rolling. They started off 0-3, and I know
slow start. We made some jokes.
Yeah,
That's
we
on
did.
us. Yeah.
We did. I remember back at the beginning of the season, I remember watching that Coastal Carolina game that Thursday night of week
Yeah.
1, and I was like, "Oh, this ain't the same Jax State team." Well, they figured things out. Their quarterback, who they switched to week 3, and then their running back are both transfers, but they're veterans. They've been around the block a time or two, and they're they're coming into their own, and they're playing really good football. And between them and Western Kentucky, they're obviously the two front runners right now. But with the win Wednesday night, on the flip side, if Liberty can knock off the Gamecocks, Liberty's right back in it.
Exactly.
And I mean, they're right back in it now, right? I mean, they control their own destiny. But it's going to be a tough game Wednesday night, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you just look. Hey, Jacksonville State turned it around. There's no reason why Liberty can't be in that same boat moving forward. What are some of the, obviously we have Jacksonville State. Who's Western Kentucky play this week?
I'm not even sure. I don't have that pulled up, but Western Kentucky should be unbeaten in conference play, unless something crazy. They actually got Kennesaw State.
That's right.
Yeah, they're big favorites there. That'll be an interesting game, but they got Kennesaw State. But yeah, they should be unbeaten when we play them November 23rd or whatever the date is.
Black Friday, right?
No, that's Sam Houston's Black Friday. The week
Friday.
Before that, we get Western Kentucky.
Yes.
And
I have a wedding that day.
Okay. Yeah. So hopefully we can get to that game and Liberty still got the one loss and they're if they're undefeated, that's fine. It'll be a huge game. But it's a huge game this week as well too.
Yeah. And shout out Sam Houston State, bowl eligible. Congratulations. That's a great turnaround from last season. There's a lot you could say about Conference USA this year, but that's definitely been a pleasant surprise to have a team like that, 6-2, 3-1 in the conference. That they're kind of showing up, making some noise nationally.
Yeah, they really have had a good season, and their quarterback, was a All-American at the junior college level. He got banged up in the Western Kentucky game. That WKU game that they played against them, that was back and forth and a one-score game into the fourth quarter until their quarterback got hurt, and they couldn't get things together on offense. And then last week they were able to beat FIU 10-7, I believe was the score. Their offense is not the same without that quarterback, but I think he's supposed to be back this week, and I think they got La Tech this week, so they're going to be a tough out, and like I said, right in the mix for the conference championship race.
Yeah. Last thing before we kick it over to our next segment, but it's going to be interesting being in a Conference USA championship race. Kind of last year was, are we going to have home? We're going to have the home game. What's it going to look like? But it's going to be interesting to see this rooting against teams, rooting for teams, and kind of having this as we go into the final month of the regular season.
Yeah, last year, kind of spoiled, or it did spoil us.
Yeah, we were
in a
spoiled.
big way.
Yeah.
I mean, by this time last year, like you said, we'd kind of pretty much already locked up a spot in the conference championship game. But one of the things I was most looking forward to about being in a conference is a conference championship race, and looking at the standings each and every week, and pulling for teams that you need to help yourself in your standing. So that's where we're at. That's where we find ourselves. And it obviously starts with Liberty. Got to get a win Wednesday night, and then take it week by week, and see where the chips fall.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, thank you to everyone tuning in. I know there's probably people watching just having a good laugh at Liberty's expense, but we're here to talk about the good and the bad and everything else in between. If you are watching this live or checking this out later, I do apologize. I keep looking up. I'm watching the World Series.
You don't like the Yankees, do you?
I'm a Yankee pessimist. I'm over Aaron Boone. I'm over Aaron Judge. I just got into a great debate with my father-in-law about it. But so I'm looking up at that. But I'm here. I'm locked in. I got the 7 jersey on. Some of the GOATs have worn this number, but I'm going to get a chance to talk to another one of the Liberty GOATs who's kind of made his name a household name the last couple of years with our main man, Jason Porter, John Manson, and
Q Reese.
Quinn Reese.
Hey Flames Nation, this is Kyle Rode.
This is Rachel Root.
This is Kader Salter.
We would just want to say thank you for supporting athletes like us through the Flames Rising Collective.
The Flames Rising Collective is a registered 501c3, providing opportunities for student athletes to use their name, image, and likeness while serving our local community.
100% of everything contributed to the collective will go directly to creating name, image, and likeness opportunities for Liberty student athletes.
Help us be champions for Christ and champions on the field. Flames.
And we're back. And JP, great to have you back. How you doing, man?
Good, John. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. And also joined by Quentin Reese, Liberty safety senior, super senior, right? You COVID senior. So Q, hate to go back and rehash it. I'm sure you guys have already put it to bed, but for the purposes of our show, take us back to Wednesday night after the game. I mean, that was the first time you guys have suffered defeat in the regular season in 2 years. First time it's ever happened under Coach Towell. Obviously, the Oregon game and the Fiesta Bowl notwithstanding, but I'm sure it was a somber moment, a rough moment there in the locker room. What was that time like with you and the guys?
A lot of guys were just kind of heartbroken and disappointed, but I just want to make sure as a leader that we understand that everything we want is in front of us. For us to go to the conference championship, we have to win out, and just knowing that our fate is in our hands was very encouraging to the guys, and just knowing we have to be better as a team, not as individuals, but as a team, we have to be better.
Yeah, Q, it was a little bit of a strange feeling wrapping up the broadcast and walking down and just hanging outside the locker room down at Kennesaw with that kind of, this is what losing feels like, because it had been a while. You guys had spoiled us. John and Richie just talked about that too, and we tell our son CJ that you either win or learn, right? And so that's I think the mindset that you got to take. But you alluded to this just a second ago. But being a senior, being a leader, a loss like that I think probably hits different, right? And so from your perspective, just expound on that just a little bit more. How have you pulled the group together in your room and even on the defensive side of the ball, and just kind of rehashed it and like you said, put it to bed, but at the same time, learn from it?
We really had to self-evaluate ourselves, our position groups, and just our sides of the ball. And we actually had a team meeting just kind of talking about how we can, just players only, just how we can self-evaluate and get better and move on from this and not make the same mistakes over and over again, because that's what's really killing us is the same mistakes that we're not correcting. Maybe that's in practice, or maybe we get to the game, we're just not correcting the same mistakes. So just focusing on how we can be better and just taking it day by day and getting back to the basics, because you can't change the recipe. The recipe hasn't changed to win. And you win by working hard, practicing hard, and doing the extra work, whether that's film, recovery, and just the treatment and the extra parts. Just how can you do extra, do more? Because obviously what we're doing was not enough.
Q, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the press conference from Bentley and Jerome, but they were talking a lot about how maybe they hadn't been playing, the team hasn't been playing with a chip on their shoulder, and maybe the game hadn't been fun this year, kind of maybe going through the motions? I don't know, maybe it's from some of the pressure, the expectations, but is that something that maybe you've sensed? And what are some things that you guys have talked about, or maybe you're trying to do to kind of get back that edge a little bit, playing with a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a chip, and back to having fun? Because that's one thing Bentley said is, this is a child's game that we're fortunate to be able to play. What are some of the things that you guys have talked about along those lines?
Just like you said, keeping the joy in it. So when we go to practice, like not making it, we have to go to practice. We get to go to practice, and just having that mindset every day of having that growth mindset and realizing that we're Liberty. We have that target on our back. So every game is that we play against someone is their Super Bowl. We have to make sure we realize that, and we have to adjust accordingly. And I feel like just in the past, once you win a lot, complacency is just it's natural. And to weed that out, we have to make sure that we understand who we are and who we are going up against, and just making sure that we can focus day by day on the little things to make sure we're good on game day.
Quinn, one of the things that obviously jumps off the stat page, you guys have been focusing on it for weeks now, I know, is just the penalty talk. Just big time drives negated by penalties, big time stops negated by penalties. How have you guys been talking through what that has meant to you? Because those are demoralizing, some of the big ones too, some of those personal fouls especially. So what's kind of the new mindset as far as addressing some of the penalties?
Like I said, you kind of practice how you play, and just addressing it in practice, because you do exactly what you do in the game in practice. So if guys are having PIs in practice, it needs to be addressed right then instead of just letting it slide and letting it go by, because it always shows up in the game. So just like I said, attention to detail and making sure that just because we're winning, we're not being complacent and happy with winning. We're still trying to get better. Whether we're winning or losing, we have to take the idea that we're trying to get better every day.
So looking ahead to Wednesday night, Jax State comes to Lynchburg, and they're a team that had a really good season last year on Rich Rod, and high tempo offense and really good rushing attack. The tops in the conference say right now, I think number 5 in the country, or number 4, top 5. Certainly, but what are some things, some of the strengths that they have on offense, and what type of challenges do they present for this Red Smoke defense?
They're very tempo offense, and they're just very quick to get lined up. So it's going to be a challenge for us just to get lined up and get our feet in the dirt, and just being able to communicate when they're going fast. And they're also a very heavy run team, like you said. So being able to stop the run and just eliminate the explosive plays, which has hurt us in the past. And just once we focus on eliminating those explosive plays, I feel like our chances of winning will continue to go up.
Yeah, Q, the stats for Jax State coming in are solid. 39 points a game, number 1 in the conference, 256 rushing yards per game, which is number 1 in the conference as well. So if folks like offense, they need to be in Williams Stadium for a lot of reasons on Wednesday night for sure. But, man, back to Red Smoke for just a second. How exciting is it, though, to have a loss like we had at Kennesaw, and then be able to jump right back on, not just a pony to kind of get back in the swing of things, but you're jumping up against a thoroughbred, right? And got to just come out of the gate full speed ahead and really put the defense to a test.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity, and the defense is very excited just because we're getting back on regular week routine. It's not 2 games in 1 month, and we're getting back to just our Liberty style of football, and we're practicing well, practicing hard, and just ready to go get after it and show who we really are, because I feel like we've been misrepresented the last couple of weeks and haven't put on our best show. And we owe it to the fans and to our community to put on our best show.
Talking about the fans and the community, Q, I mean, coming down the stretch run here of your career, your final season with the Flames and that red, white, and blue, and only guaranteed 2 home games the rest of the way. Hopefully we'll get a third. But has that sunk in for you at all? Have you thought about, you only got, Wednesday night guaranteed, and then one more after that at home?
It hasn't really sunken in. It kind of just hit the more you just kind of talked about it. But I try to just stay in the moment and focus on what I can control now, because who knows, if I take care of the moment now, we'll have another game in Williams Stadium and we continue to play this season. So try to take it day by day, not think about it too much, and just enjoy the time with my brothers, because like you said, there's so much time left, and once it's over, it's over. So I don't want to miss anything by not being in the moment now.
Yeah, Q, last question I got for you, just for the folks that are watching. I know it's a midweek, it's a Wednesday night, all those other things, but how important is home field advantage, Williams Stadium rocking and rolling on a Wednesday night? Weather looks great, no lightning delays, no anything like that, but man, just give a public service announcement for how important it is to fill it up.
Yeah, we are excited because it's been a little minute. I think the last time the stadium might have been like really full was ECU before the weather delay. So we're excited to get back in front of our fans and just continue to prove and reprove who we are as a team and as a defense, because like you said, a lot of people are kind of counting us out, and it's about time for the Flames to show who we really are.
Sounds good. Looking forward to the game Wednesday night and getting back in the win column and seeing you and the rest of the guys out there. Appreciate your time, Q. We'll let you get back to it, get your rest, and get ready for Wednesday night. But thanks as always for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you both for having me. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you. You
Thanks,
too.
Quinn.
So JP, it's always good to hear from Q. I mean, when the team has leaders like him and some of the others, it's you can be hopeful for them to get things turned around following the game Wednesday night.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it was a quiet ride back to Lynchburg for sure. Those guys took that one to heart, and I think there's a great opportunity for them to respond Wednesday night.
So JP, I heard this new law regarding sellers paying a commission. What does that mean? Educate me here on this.
Yeah, lots of headlines in the summertime. Some of our folks may have been paying attention to this on the real estate side. And basically what happened is back in the summer, there was national legislation that went into effect that said that sellers do not no longer have to pay commissions on the sale of homes. And the interesting thing about that is truly that's kind of the way that most of us have been practicing all along. Now there's just a national law that sort of puts that into place. We don't have time on the broadcast to go into all that, but it's more just, again, just an announcement for folks who may be thinking about selling some property. Love to talk with them about that, unpack that concept a little bit, because the rules have definitely changed a little bit, and it was national headlines over the summer. So just an opportunity to talk to some folks if they'd like some counsel. I'd love to be that for them, and all my contact information is there on the screen.
Yeah, appreciate you giving us the breakdown there, JP. And anyone looking for real estate in and around Lynchburg area, maybe you got friends or family members that are Liberty students or going to be moving here soon, or you want to come back to the area like my wife and I did several years ago, be sure to hit Mr. Porter up. He'll help you out, residential, commercial, anything you need. He'll help you out. Liberty guy through and through. JP, appreciate you, and look forward to seeing you in person on Wednesday night.
That's right. John, thanks so much for having me.
Virginia's best and most Flames-friendly coffee comes from Ironclad Coffee Roasters. Ironclad roasts and serves up their beautiful beans at 2 cafes in Richmond, where you can enjoy their craft roasted specialty beans from anywhere in the country by visiting www.ironcladcoffee.com. Place your order there, and it will be directly shipped to your doorstep. Whenever you find yourself in the capital of the Commonwealth, pay them a visit at one of their 2 cafes in the Richmond area. Ironclad's owners, the O'Rourke family, are proud Flames Club members and season ticket holders, and now they're pleased to sponsor the podcast from the CRA. Hop over to www.ironcladcoffee.com now to get your Virginia's best specialty coffee headed your way.
All right, I'm back. I was a little worried. I could hear.
Can you hear me?
I can. I was a little worried. The interview started. I'm like, does John not know he's muted? And then they started answering your questions, and I went, oh, so I can hear everyone except for John. So we fixed it. We made it work, and we're back.
As long as you got me now, because that would be a little awkward to come back, just me and you chatting, and you can't hear me.
Yeah. So no, we're in. We're back. This is the part of the show where I go rogue. Let's say something nice about Malik real quick.
Oh, okay. Let's do it.
What a great game. Came back in. Great drives. Ran the ball well. Threw the ball well. Packers won again.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Malik. He's had a resurgence or renaissance of his career, whatever you want to call it, in Green Bay. So happy for him. First of all, to get out of Tennessee and in that mess, but to get to Green Bay in a competent franchise and be behind a talented quarterback like Jordan Love and be on a talented roster, team that's likely headed for the playoffs and may even win a few games in the playoffs. And he's been a big part of that. He started 2 games and got 2 wins for him. And they don't win that game on Sunday afternoon without him. I mean, he led them to a game-winning drive, set up, a 51-yard pass to Jordan Love to Jaden Reed, and set him up in field goal range. So great job by him. He also had a passing touchdown. So, all those games he played in Tennessee never had a touchdown. He's got at least 2 passing touchdowns, if not more. Is it 3?
I know it's 3. I think it's 3.
So he's got at least 3 then in Green Bay. So, he's doing big things, and he's set himself up at least for a long career in the NFL, and may even get another shot at being a starter somewhere.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Nice to have a little bit of positivity mixed in on a Sunday, and contingent Packers fans calling for Malik to be the starter. Let's not get nuts, Andrew. Let's not get nuts. You want to take that question, John?
Yeah, Jason asked, why didn't Coach do a press conference this week? So I'll just give you what I know. And there was, it was scheduled to be on Friday. And again, we're in this midweek schedule, so everything's different each and every week. It's been a weird October, as we all know. But he was doing his press conferences on Tuesday, and then they moved him to Thursday for a couple of weeks once we got into the midweek, and then with the game being Wednesday, they moved it to Friday. And showed up at the LFC Friday morning, late morning, and 10 minutes before it was supposed to start, we were informed from Liberty Athletics that Coach Chadwell would not be available for the press conference, and no real reason given, just that he had a conflict and something he had to deal with, and so that's what we were told. That's what we know. Anybody saying he's ducking the media, I don't think that was the case. I saw him Thursday night, the night before, at Mellow Mushroom. He did his weekly coaches show, so make sure you go and check that out. Alan York talked to him, so he was doing fine. I talked to him then, so he's certainly not ducking the media, but hopefully everything's going okay for him and his family, and looking forward to seeing him on the sidelines Wednesday night. But speaking of Wednesday night, it's going to be a tough one.
It's nice having a game that we know is going to happen, and not in that 2 games in 32 days that we kind of dealt with. And it's exciting because it's going to be a big one. Rich Rod, former almost the coach at Alabama, Rich Rod, coming to town with the Jacksonville State Gamecocks.
Yeah, the Gamecocks, and
not
again,
in Florida. Not in Florida.
Jacksonville
State, not in Florida.
They're in Alabama, Jacksonville, Alabama, and actually, for those of you that know our good friend Damian Sordelet, previously of the Lynchburg News and Advance, I think it's his wife's family is from Jacksonville, Alabama, so he's familiar with the area. But anyways, this game, again, we're coming off the loss. We don't feel the greatest, right? But this is a game, like, if you could take yourself out of that loss, which you can't, but if you could, this is a game that's kind of like, you got to be excited for. Like, we haven't had a game like this in a long time. Like, the first one that comes to mind is a Western Kentucky game last year on the road, but I don't even think that kind of is the same. Like, this one is one you're at home, you're against a team that is playing better than you. They opened as a favorite. I think the line is shifted now in Liberty's favor, and Liberty's 1 to 1.5 point favorite, depending on where you look. But they're playing really good. They've won 4 straight. It's the first time, note I saw in the game notes, the first time since 2015 that Liberty's hosting a conference opponent that has a better conference record than Liberty does, which, that you're going back almost 10 years for that. So Jax State is going to be coming into Lynchburg, smelling blood, circling the waters, wanting to put the death knell in the Liberty Flames for 2024. And if they do, they're sitting in the catbird seat, with that win at Liberty, and they still got to play Sam Houston and Western Kentucky both, but they'll be sitting in good shape if they were able to pull out a win Wednesday night.
Yeah, and player to watch, you see it on the screen if you are checking us out via video. Tyler Huff, this kid does it all. 8 passing touchdowns, 8 rushing touchdowns, a threat anytime he's got the ball. So they have the guy in there. They have the coach in there that has won games before, and it's going to be a challenge. We've talked about the get right game, and hey, UTEP, the get right game. New Mexico State, it's going to be our get right game. Now we're in a position where our get right team is against a team that is similar to us. Record wise, you look at what the computers say in Vegas, that hey, this can be a get right game as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned Huff. He's been the main reason why they've had this turnaround. They opened 0-3, lost to Coastal Carolina in an embarrassing fashion, and then lost to Louisville, and then one of the Michigans, I think it was Eastern Michigan, in overtime. And since then they've turned it around, and he's been a big part of that. He was not their starter to begin the year. He's a transfer from Furman, where he was the SoCon Player of the Year last year, and he can run it better than he can throw it, probably. I mean, but he has the ability to throw it too. I mean, they're one of the top rushing offenses in the country. They're very explosive. They do the tempo. Rich Rod from his days, at West Virginia and elsewhere, that he likes to have that quarterback that can run, and he's got that in Huff, and he's playing very well. He did get injured late in the game last week, and missed, sat out the fourth quarter against Middle Tennessee, but they were up by a couple scores. Listening to their press conference and stuff this week, sounds like he'll play, but it's not 100%. I would expect him to play, but it's going to be a tough challenge for the Flames.
Yeah, he gives me some Diego Pavia vibes for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of game to him, and he's a veteran, and he won't be scared of the moment, coming into Williams Stadium. I hope we have a good crowd. This Rich Rod was talking in his press conference about this is the been to Williams Stadium, so he'll get to serve facilities. But I hope our crowd shows up. Being a midweek and coming off a loss, to show them, the type of atmosphere that we typically have at Williams Stadium. But if you're watching us online, the video stream, you can see player Quentin Cooley, Joe Carter. Put Joe Carter up here because he's really going up against this potent offense, this potent rushing attack. He's our leading tackler on the season, one of the defensive leaders. We really need him to continue to play well and to kind of lead this team. And then Cooley, Quentin, he had I think it was 170 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns against Jax State in the win last year, and they are susceptible to the run.
And that's the piece that we're going to need, not to cut you off, John, but Quentin just didn't get going last week. And I think he's a guy, once he gets rolling, he's rolling. And if that can happen early, still averaging 6.4 yards per carry with 6 touchdowns. Those are great numbers. I think that to me is the biggest piece. Because like you said earlier, it's going to be offense. And we got to make sure that our offense is right there. Yeah,
definitely. I can remember back, and if you guys can remember too, back to last year's game at Jax State. Remember that was a 5-day turnaround. We had played on a Thursday night, then we were going down there to play on a Tuesday night, and it was the first game last year that I was really nervous about and concerned if we would be able to pull it out because they proved they were a good team last year. But I think we went into halftime. I think it was tied. And we came out in the second half and we just put it to them. They couldn't stop the run, couldn't get us off the field. We outscored them. I think it was 21-3 in the third quarter, and really, separated ourselves from them. So, we have that ability. It's just, will we do it? What team it. And again, we can sit here and get into the stats all we want to, but in my mind, it's much more simple than that. It's just how does this team respond? That's the question that has to be answered. How do they respond from that loss? I wrote about it over the weekend, but check
it out.
Yeah, they got knocked down. They got knocked on the mat. They got knocked down. How are they going to respond? Are they going to dust themselves off and pick themselves up and keep fighting back, or are they just going to turn over and cower? We don't know. This team has not been in this situation, and we won't find out until Wednesday night.
Yeah, and we're hoping for the best. It's put up or shut up time.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's past that. Like this is it. If you lose Wednesday night, you're not getting a Conference USA championship.
No.
You're probably not going to even you're not going to compete in the game. I mean, if you lose, then now you start talking about let's just get bowl eligible. Like let's just get bowl.
Get that 6th win.
Yeah, let's just get bowl eligible and try to get as many wins as we can. But but on the flip side, I mean, it's a turning point in the season. Right now is if you win, you can string together your next few games after this. You got Middle Tennessee, UMass. You will be heavy favorites in those games. And if you get a win and you start to get your confidence back, you can string together those wins, and then you'll be ready to go for your last two in games that you'll need for the conference championship against Western Kentucky and Sam Houston.
Yeah. A lot of questions, a lot of things we're going to be looking for, but I know a place that doesn't have any questions. I know a place that doesn't need to put up or shut up because it delivers week in and week out, and that is Leesburg, Florida.
It's real Florida. It's old Florida, and it's close to all of the Central Florida attractions, crystal clear natural springs, and one of the largest chain of lakes. The beautiful lakefront city of Leesburg offers the best in outdoor adventures, fishing, and quaint shops and restaurants on historic downtown Main Street. Come visit and see how welcoming a hometown city feels. Experience Leesburg the way Florida is meant to be.
Welcome in the man, CT. We're cashing tickets. We're talking about, well, I'm not cashing tickets. We're talking about college football across the country. I lost a 110-1 parlay yesterday by 2 yards. And last season, I was just every week I'd hit some preposterous parlay. And this year, it's not in the cards. College football, I had a phenomenal. I was up like 35 units, whatever it was. This year, it's not going great. So it's a fade me. It's a great opportunity, great time to fade me, but always a pleasure to get to chat with you, CT, about what's going on across the college football landscape and what we can try to do to find the edge when looking at those FanDuel DraftKings odds each week. So, what do we got this week?
I mean, I feel like let's go ahead and pick it up right where y'all left off.
Yeah.
Liberty game. So we did open up as the underdog, as I think y'all mentioned. We now currently are the favorite. It's flipped. So we're, depending on where it is, we're favorite 1.5 points. Over-under is pretty high, 63, and I think that's a lot to do with Jacksonville State's offense. But
and the potential of our offense.
Let's go to you right away. What are your thoughts?
I wouldn't touch this point spread because, we mentioned earlier, there's a lot of questions, a lot of, what's going to happen? What are we going to see? I kind of like that over. I think both teams can get into the 30s. We saw what happened last year when we run the ball against Jacksonville State, play our game. So I think scoring 4 to 5 touchdowns, we got a kicker, come in and clean it up when we have to, but I lean the over there.
Yeah. I mean, and as well, we have to say, back against the wall, it's back to Flames. So
hungry dog ride.
We don't have to worry about 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, or anything like that. It's really just win, cash your ticket. So going back to Flames as well.
I love it. You know what? There was that time I joked about betting against Liberty and people lost their mind, and I did, and I bet us against Arkansas and we won. It was great, but no, I probably would, obviously rooting for Liberty, but probably maybe a little sprinkle on the over, maybe a little props. We'll see what happens.
Without a doubt.
Tomorrow night we got New Mexico against FIU. FIU 9.5 point favorites. Low over under for college football standards at 43.5.
Yeah, both offenses look pretty rough, not going to lie. And FIU, their quarterback, he's been playing, but he's been kind of hurt. Like, he's had a lot of wild incompletions, different things like that. So, given everything there, I'm kind of inclined to go ahead and take New Mexico State.
Yeah.
Land almost 10
games
points.
Like 10-7. Yeah, it's
10
a lot of
points
points
on your side with a total that low. It'll take a lot to go right there. And
Yeah.
FIU is definitely not 10 points better than anyone, not 10 points
No.
better than Kennesaw, not 10 points better than Kent State, not 10 points better than New Mexico State. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you there. We're on the same page right now. This is good. We're rolling right along. So it'll be a nice game
that
to
always
watch.
goes well. So.
College football, I'll watch any two teams playing.
Yep.
La Tech, Sam Houston at home, giving 10.5 over under, slightly higher than the last game we talked about, 45.5. I think Sam Houston, they're rolling right along. La Tech, still trying to figure things out, still chipping away, trying to be nice, but give me I like Sam Houston.
Yeah, as long as their quarterback is playing, I agree. He is a key part. We saw last week how much they struggled without him with their offense. So if he's not playing, give me the under. If he is playing, give me Sam Houston.
Yeah, and that I think once that decision is made and publicly announced, if that quarterback's going to play, I think that line's going to move probably closer to 14.
Yeah, but as long as you can still get it under 14, then
yeah, no, absolutely. So look at us rolling right along. Always good midweek Conference USA.
Yep.
And we got
last week of it.
That's right. It flew by. I mean, we barely played. Like it was just, I don't know. It felt like a weird October. But our favorites for the week. I like Kansas State -13 at Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas State just quietly. Yeah, I know they dropped the game earlier in the year. They're just kind of quietly handling their business right now. I think Houston's kind of I think they're kind of in over their head a little bit right now. Just eye test. Give me K-State on the road. Who knows how much Houston's going to be getting up for this. Kansas State, they're playing for that Big 12 bid. Like they're going for it. So I think it's a game they can kind of continue rolling, keep that momentum going.
Yep, absolutely love that. I'm going to go Navy -12.5. Yeah, they finally reached the peak of the market. They reached their match with just a Notre Dame team who just outclassed them and just out-talented them and everything else. But now Navy gets to go back to playing some G5 teams, and I think they're going to pick up right where they left off the week before playing Navy, and I think they're going to keep on rolling. So I think we got a good number here because of that loss. I think it's probably a couple points lower. So under 2 touchdowns, Navy at Rice, who lost to Army as well, which I think is a good reference point. They lost to Army by over 20. So give me Navy -12.5 at Rice.
Yeah, and Rice just fired their coach. Who did they get to replace him? Because that's very important, I do want to say.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, it's going to be an interim. But
Peter Alomar. Now, for those who don't know, interim coaches, it's really important to see what their role was. Like if you ever get like an offensive line coach, you get a football guy in there, you might get a little boost, but I'll see what he did.
But here's the difference.
Capacities, special teams coordinator. Well, he's been there forever. So it could go either way.
Here's what I'll say though. Normally, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But
Rice
having an interim come in, try to game plan for the triple option, and this triple option, which is totally different as well, that's a whole different beast to try to game plan for. So
and an interim coach can only do so much if you just don't have a lot of talent.
Yeah.
So upset alert. Who do we like out there? I'll kick it off. Arizona money line at UCF. UCF just fired their defensive coordinator, I think, or their offensive coordinator. They ditched KJ Jefferson. I like Arizona. I like the quarterback out there. I'd rather bet on a team coming east than a team going west. So just give me Arizona. Let's keep it rolling.
Raiders bias baked in there somehow.
Yes. I've seen. Yeah,
absolutely. You never know who's watching the show, so we won't say too much here. But give me Vanderbilt +200 at a certain SEC school in Alabama, not named Alabama. Certain quarterback has a certain track record against a certain head coach, and he does pretty well. So give me Vanderbilt +200.
He's become the media darling. Good for him. It has been great to see. Great story. I mean, Vanderbilt good at football is fun for everyone.
You can't hate it. Like
no,
nothing. Yeah.
No. We'll see. Can Auburn put 2 solid games in a row? I don't think they've done it yet this year. I'm hopeful. I think it's going to be a good game. Definitely a game to watch because it's got potential to have some fireworks in it, just with all the storylines and everything going on. So points. I want to get your thoughts. You're going. We got an armed forces game this week.
Shocker. Air Force Army over 41.5. Normally, not the thing to do to take an over in Service Academy game.
Yeah.
But Air Force is terrible this year. Absolutely terrible. Yeah. They lost almost all. They had so many seniors on the roster last year, and they're having to replace it all, and they just haven't got it together whatsoever. So the thinking is this: Air Force, honestly, they're probably not putting up more than 7 to 10, which doesn't lean towards an over either. But I don't think they're putting up 0. I think they will find a way to get one score. They play against a triple. I mean, they practice against a triple option defense every day. There's some sort of familiarity there.
Yeah.
And we saw again, they played Navy earlier, and they were able to get up a score or two. So I think Air Force is going to score 7 to 10, and I think Army is just going to blow the doors off of them. Yeah. I think Army could cover this number themselves.
They'll put 35 up.
Again, just give me 35 from Army. And I think we cash this with ease. So I shouldn't say with ease. It's definitely going to be a battle. But I think with the way that Air Force defense specifically has struggled so much this season, I think we can go ahead and cash this over. So over 41.5.
Yeah, and I'm going Louisville Clemson. We saw Louisville in that shootout with Miami a couple weeks ago. Clemson, when they're rolling, they're playing well. It's another team that's quietly kind of making a run this year. That game, I think they play Miami this year, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's going to be a big, that be a ACC championship game. I in Clemson when they're humming, they're good. You take away that first half against Georgia, they've played really the whole Georgia game. They've played pretty well, so they got their swagger going. And I just think you could see a game where I think Louisville could score 28. I think Clemson wins the game. They're going to score 35. So quick math, yes, that is over 61. So 35-28, and you're there. Game of the week. This is a big one.
For it.
Ohio State heading to State Penn for probably one of the games of the year. I think that
it's right there behind like Texas and Georgia. It's right there.
Yeah, definitely going to really shape the Big Ten. Ohio State needs to win, or they're going to be out of that Big Ten championship game. So their backs against the wall. Penn State, they've laid a couple eggs, but I think there's been some games they did not play their best. Look at USC, definitely could have lost that game. They were in a dogfight with what was the MAC school?
Bowling Green.
Yeah, Bowling Green. Yeah. They were in a dogfight with Bowling Green. I think just Ohio State's got horses. Carnell Tate is just a dog. Trayvon Henderson is a dog. They got a defense. Caleb Downs, it's the best team that the Nittany Lions have played all this year, and significantly. And I could just see Ohio State going in and getting it done.
I'm not going to be as confident as you, but I am on the same side.
Yeah.
For me, it's something that I need James Franklin to prove he can win a game like this.
Yeah.
And up to this point, he is not. He's won a lot of games, and he's made Penn State really good again, but he's never been able to win this big game.
Yeah. His record against top 10 teams is not great.
Exactly. So do I think this could be the year that it's different with Kotelnicki, the new offensive coordinator?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Am I going to put any sort of money on that? No. So I'm personally probably going to stay away from this game, but for the purposes of this conversation, give me Ohio State until James Franklin can prove otherwise that he can.
Exactly. Exactly. I want you want to see him do it first before you jump into that and make that happen. So that's our look around the college football landscape. little bit of in-depth analysis, talking about some of the games, maybe trying to win you some money if you want to jump on board with us or fade us. Really could change every week. It's not like in the past where we were just pumping out winners. You are, I'm not. But
yeah, shout out to myself. Whenever the last podcast we did, I know I went 4-0. So I don't even know what the plays were at this point, but I know it's 4-0.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah. So fade me and jump on board with CT. But if you are interested in learning a little bit more about this gambling world and you're trying to figure out how to make some money, because sometimes you're out there and your betting luck, it's as inconsistent as Aaron Judge in the playoffs. But Better Bettors Coaching is here to change that. And they specialize in transforming sports betting into a smarter, more profitable experience. With personalized coaching focused on smart bankroll management, disciplined betting habits, and data-driven strategies, they tailor everything to fit your goals. Head over to betterbettorscoaching.com and sign up for your complimentary call today. Better Bettors Coaching. With the right coaching, winning consistently isn't a gamble. And we're back. John Manson joining us. CT still here. How do like Northwestern podcast hosts do it? How do like Purdue podcast hosts do it? Like UCLA, like there's got to be someone that does a football podcast. Like we're so lucky that this is like the one time in years where we're just like doom and gloom and all that. Like I don't know how those people do it. Like each week, like, oh, we lost again. Like that's got to get tiring quickly.
Well, you're a Rutgers football fan, right? So why don't you tell us?
It is what it is.
Started off promising this year too.
Yeah, and you know what? Some people
They had you.
They had me. I was all in. They had me, and they just ripped my heart out. But you know, when your offense is one dimensional, and some people, not me, say that your head coach, he can buy the groceries, but he can't cook the meal. This is where you're at.
Well, for some of those teams, not to get completely sidetracked, but being in the Big Ten, being the SEC, I mean, even Vandy, I mean, they've had a good season, but I mean, this is going to be one of their best seasons ever, and they're going to win 8 games, right? I mean, so it's just tough. And but yeah, you're right. It's wouldn't be a fun place to be. We've been spoiled as Liberty fans the past couple of years. Past several years, across the board in a lot of different sports, and we wanted to play big boy football, and this is what we've asked for, and you can say what you want to about Kennesaw State, but those guys were ready to play, and they wanted to make their season with that win, and they did just that, and I mean they got the Cheez-It National Team of the Week, that game being Wednesday night. By Sunday night into Monday morning, I kind of like forgot about it, moved on. And then, of course, today you're like back into it again because they're having all the weekend recaps and you see Cheez-It National Team of the Week, Kennesaw State, and it just throws you right back in it. But, like I said earlier, it's a really, a big week. It's a defining week for this Liberty team this season, and whatever however they choose to respond to this will define the season, right? I mean, if we, started at the beginning of the season and said at the end of the year we'll be 11-1 in Conference USA champs, 12-1 Conference USA champs, I think we would have taken that. Sure, we would like to go 13-0, but like that's not realistic to go undefeated all the time. So I think if we said we would be 12-1 and conference champions, we would take that, and that would be a successful season. Right here in the moment, it doesn't feel like that's possible, and it doesn't feel like that would even be a successful season. But we can still take care of business, win out, play a conference championship game at home, and I think we have the talent to do that. It's just a matter of will we respond.
Mm-hmm. And college football, you have to sometimes look at things on a year-to-year basis, and it's difficult to coming off of the success of last season and the expectations that this season can still be a success. Even with what happened last week, the season can still be a success. And it's not, again, I said before, it's not one person's fault. It's not anything to look at. There's a lot of things that can get figured out. And me personally, to close it out, I think I'm hopeful that they will figure it out, just knowing players that are in there hearing Hugh Reese talk earlier that, all right, they get it. This is not a secret. Like, they know they have to get better. We're aware of that, and we're hopeful it happens on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I mean, saying it, they said the right
Yeah.
things. If you haven't watched Bentley Hanshaw's press conference, Jerome Jolly's press conference from the other day, go back and watch it. I mean, they had the right answers. Quentin Reese earlier tonight on this show, they had the right answers. They said the right things, but talking's one thing, right? Not to take a shot at them. I'm not, but you got to do it on the field. And it's not like you're playing another Kennesaw State or UMass or Middle Tennessee. You're playing a Jacksonville State team who's every bit as good as you. They got plenty of talent on that side of the field. So it's not going to be an easy game. I wish we were playing UMass this week. Like, I think we would probably win. I think we would figure things out, but we're not. That's not how it fell. So it's going to be a tough game, and it's a game that this, like I said, I've said it till I'm blue. It's a defining week for the season.
Yeah,
defining game for the season. So, how will the team respond? I'm really anxious to see. And most teams, most athletes, most Division I athletes, playing at this level, they're fighters, right? They're I mean, these are guys that were champions last year. I mean, they're not going to just wilter. We saw it against New Mexico State, right? Down 17-3. We saw it against East Carolina, down 17-0. We can talk about why they got down, but they didn't just fall over. They fought back. They have that winner's mindset. They have that winner's mentality and that competitive drive, I believe. And I think we'll see that this week.
No, 100%. John, CT, closing thoughts?
No, I mean, nothing to add from what y'all said. Like, it's, hey, extremely disappointing with what's happened. I think we can all agree with that. But no reason to harp on that at this point. And it's looking forward. And it's, hey, we've had probably the worst loss possible on the schedule. And now we have the chance to bounce back with potentially the best win possible on the schedule. And something that we might not even realize that before the season started, but it's turned out that way. So we have an opportunity to do something big and set the season right. So it's, how do we come out and respond?
Yeah, 100%. And at the end of the day, win or lose, we support Liberty. We support the Flames. We support the players on the field. We support the coaches on the sidelines and in the booth, and everyone in that program behind the scenes getting it all done. And so I just said, also win or lose, we get the opportunity to come talk about that team and spend an hour or so with everyone and on social media, getting a chance to talk about that. And we're lucky to get to do that. So we're excited for Wednesday night home. If you are in the area, make sure you get out to that game. If not, I'm sure we'll be on Twitter having some fun, enjoying the game. And as always, go Flames. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.